learning nugget. This is the section of effective appraisal conversations. In this video, I focus on the core of the conversation, the feedback conversation with your direct report, where you sit down and talk about the year and review the year. Let me first start with something more fundamental, so the foundation of the assessment. When you start with the assessment or the review, clarify the standards applied in the performance assessment. This is the latest point you should do it. You could do it much earlier in the process and say, when it's in the preparation phase, these are the standards I apply, these are the standards we agreed, etc. Then fine. But and even if you've done that, recap and said, remember, these were the standards I said we will apply for the assessment. And also then make sure that the direct report has a full understanding what these standards mean for him or her and her performance throughout the year. After you've done that, then in the next step, I recommend you start with your direct report's perspective. Okay? Some people say, why should I do that? I'm the boss. I'm delivering the appraisal. I'm delivering the feedback. It shouldn't be up to them. I tried that. It didn't work for me. Maybe it works for you. But my recommendation is start with their perspective, because you also create a more positive atmosphere. So when you let them review their year, okay, it starts in a different tone. You understand their world, their view, their experience, and it's a much more positive and open atmosphere you create. It's more a dialogue. You're in listening mode with them. When they tell you their story and explain the year, one thing you have to pay attention is ensure there's a focus on facts and examples. Okay? And when they give you the examples and the facts, another role you have is also relate their perspective to the standards you just discussed before. That gives more clarity. Okay, how does that work? You can ask them. So when you give me this example, how would you assess yourself against the standards we just discussed? Okay? In this part, you really are in deep listening mode. Active listening is the word that's applicable here. Ask clarifying questions to clarify your understanding. Make clear that the time to challenge comes later. It's not now, but it's when you actually come up with your perspective and your assessment. That creates a positive atmosphere, and you can go in a constructive exchange also from your perspective. Now, in the next step, I call it explore the deviations to your own view. Before you go into deviations, acknowledge first the points which from your perspective you're aligned with, okay, and praise the highlights. They've done good things. I assume they've done good things, so you can actually praise the highlights and really spend a bit of time and explaining where you're aligned, what you liked, how was it for you, what they explained to you, how they described the year. Then, because the appraisal has a strong developmental aspect, then you spend more time in the areas where your perspective deviates from that of your direct report. Explore the difference with an open mind, primarily that you understand each other better. Okay, be there to explain from where you're coming from, and then give them time to explore this as a dialogue, as an exchange between you and them. Now, it can happen, and it happened on a regular basis to me, that I didn't have all the facts. I missed out on a number of things. Therefore, you have to be prepared to change your assessment. It's no failure. It's just normal that we don't know everything our people do. Therefore, be prepared to change the assessment. There's only one thing you shouldn't do. Don't change it for the sake of keeping your direct report happy, because that doesn't help him or her or you. Okay? So, now, one last element that's a bit more general again, the mode of feedback delivery. That's kind of a bit of learning from psychology and how it worked for me. You want to keep the motivation and engagement high in the conversation. Therefore, you alternate between positive and negative aspects when you talk about. Because remember, when you talk about the deviations, you may actually also have positive deviations, not just negative deviations. Okay, so alternate if you can, and kick off. That's what I said before. Kick off with positive aspects and the praise of the person. It just creates a good atmosphere. Everybody needs also some positive feelings for their self-worthiness and for being accepted who they are and what they've done. Okay, then the other one is a lot of organizations have a structure, have forms to fill in, have a process described, have a competency model, and checklist for performance elements. That's all good. That helps you. But what I recommend, don't go mechanically through each of these forms or the performance elements given from your organization. Have a dialogue, have a conversation. You may choose to fill in while you have the conversation. I think it's much better if you say, we put this aside and we fill it in at the end, and you first have a conversation, and then you do the recording of what you talked about. So focus on where the conversation creates insights and value for both of you. Don't focus on filling in forms. That doesn't help, and it makes it a stale experience, and certainly way beyond enjoyable. That's not what you want to do. That's my experience, my personal experience, but also what I've heard from clients when we talked about the way they deliver appraisals, or when we had coaching sessions about how to deliver the best appraisal. Okay, so that's it in this learning nugget. I hope it was helpful. I hope you can learn something and start integrating that in your practice. Thank you very much, and until then, bye-bye.